those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into a Tuesday episode of Running Point, brought to you as always by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. I am Anthony Hartwig, and I am proud to bring you this show today, and we are proud to also be sponsored by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. I see at the top of every show. We thank them for their constant support and their constant sponsorship of not this show, but everything that we do at YSN. If you're in the market for a new car, make sure to go over to Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on Running Point and YSN. Without further ado, we have a big show for you today. It's going to be interviews that you're going to be able to hear with Pamela Davis, the head coach of the Archbishop Hoban girls basketball team, as well as Emma Cunningham, a senior from South Range. You'll be able to hear those two interviews. We'll recap your last night's action, and then we'll preview the night of the network so far. We'll start with the scores from last night. Girard was able to beat Hubbard 46-23. Girard keeps pace in that NE8. They're just one game behind Struthers and Poland, so they're hoping they can take care of Struthers, and then obviously they'd be rooting for Struthers to beat Poland and force that three-way tie at the top of the NE8. No tiebreaker. It would just end as a three-way tie at the top if that were to happen. But Girard still got a lot of work to do, but they're starting to put together a very impressive season for the Indians, and they get the win last night again, 46-23 over Hubbard. Jefferson gets their second win of the year in the NE8, 46-35 over Niles. Jefferson will host Poland on Thursday. West Branch was in action. It was a makeup game against Rootstown. Rootstown, one of the top-ranked teams in the region of Division 3 in the Northeast, that Cuyahoga Falls region. But West Branch took it to them last night, 50-28, all Warriors in that action. First place battle in Brookfield as Crestview came to town. They were looking for the season sweep of the Warriors. They got it, 38-31. Crestview is the winner. Both teams really only had 3 players get into the scoring column, but that's all they needed. I mean, Addison Rhodes led Crestview, and then Lavraine Gaskin scored, and then Ava Busey also had 7. So those are the 3 scores for Crestview. Brookfield had a double-double from Kaylee Wellman. Shocker there, 10 points, 11 rebounds. Sophia Hook had 14 with 6 assists and 4 steals. So, you know, the players that you expected to be good were good. Crestview just had that extra 7 from Busey, and that was actually the 7 points that won them the game. So props to Crestview for getting their second win over the Warriors. They now sit in first place with a tie with Garfield, both one-loss teams in that MVAC. And, of course, they will play each other somewhere down the line again in the MVAC, and that one will be one to watch. Crestview this week, though, they'll host LeBray on Thursday. Garfield's got a game against Liberty on Thursday. Brookfield will host Newton Falls. So all those teams, I think it's the other way around. I think Crestview's bringing in Newton Falls and Brookfield hosts Liberty. But all those teams in action on Thursday. 50-42, United gets the win over Southern Local, a big EOAC win. Pretty much, gives United a firm handle of the driver's seat in that EOAC. A close one, though. Southern gave it all they could. 50-42, United gets to win there. Talking about that Garfield team that's in first place, they did so by making some second half adjustments, beating Champion 53-38. Remember, first time these two teams played, Champion pushed Garfield all the way to the edge, made Garfield pull away with a 3-point win. This time around, Garfield has a little bit more balance. Mandy Cardinal, Laura McCoy, and Madeline Shirky all in double figures for the G-men. For Champion, Bella Meyer had 17, Kayla Haney had 8, and Addie Warzola had 7. So a little bit more balance from Garfield this time around, and they didn't let Bella Meyer go off for 28, which that'll help. If you can keep her below 20, which is hard this year because she's putting together a very good season. But if you can keep her below 20, and then hold her supplementary cast, you have a good chance to beat Champion. 53-38, Garfield gets to win. Waterloo, they get a win inside the MVAC, 60-37 after a tough week for them, dropping that one to Western Reserve last week. They get right back on the MVAC dominant train, 60-37. They were able to beat McDonald at home. Struthers gets the hard-fought win over Lakeview. Lakeview is one of those gritty teams that makes you play sloppy basketball. They play really good defense. So props to Struthers for wading through that, getting through that murky water, and getting that 42-32 win to keep pace in the NE8. They are tied with Poland at the top still, both teams with one loss, and the matchup between those two in the field house on the horizon. Springfield got the win over Middle Ridge last night to continue their domination in the MVAC Scarlet tier, 55-33, the final score in that one. Warren JFK went and beat Heartland Christian last night, 65-33. Badger has won 12 in a row now. They beat Maplewood 48-28, big win for the Badger girls. They continue on their tear, and they're trying to avenge last year's early exit in the tournament. So they want to hit their stride and keep hitting it as they get into tournament play, and make a deeper run this year. They definitely feel like they have the talent to do it. Hannah Betts, Katie Grexa, that's a great 1-2 punch, and it's carried them through this season so far. 12 wins in a row for Badger, 48-28, they get the win. Western Reserve on lockdown, 54-25, they get the win over Lowville. And it's another big offensive performance from Western Reserve. Second half of the season, they are a confident bunch on the offensive side, and they're still playing really good defense. I've talked about it before. This Western Reserve team is starting to get contributions from players that are not named Brooke Shantz. Lisa Eichert stepping up and scoring more. Olivia Hughes is scoring more. Lenny Jones has re-entered the frame. She's starting to score more. Ramsey is scoring more. So every time that team is able to get contributions like that, Angelina Campianca led them last night. So she's starting to score a little bit more. Confidence on the offensive side for Western Reserve is big going forward in that Division III tournament. And they still have a mathematical shot at the MVAC if Springfield is able to stumble a little bit. They still have a second matchup with Springfield. So if they're able to knock off Springfield and then they get a little bit of help, still not mathematically out of that MVAC yet either. So Western Reserve still got plenty of goals ahead of them. And like I said, they're just looking like a much more confident group on the offensive side. And when they're still playing the defensive level that they do, very dangerous team. They proved that last week beating Waterloo. So watch out for Western Reserve. Now we'll go to the game that I was at last night, and I can talk a little bit more in depth about. Poland was able to beat South Range 41-31. Talking to Coach Blanche after the game, he is just it's a sense of relief when you're done playing South Range for the season for him, and I'm sure Coach Fitchell thinks the same way because these two teams know each other so well. They game plan for each other, it seems like, all season. Obviously, the coaches are close to each other, a good sign of respect and friendship between the two. But when these two teams play, it's like they have to make adjustments. It's a chess match because they know each other so well and they've played each other so much. And that's what this game was. A very defensive game. Both teams play extremely good defense. The first quarter was 4-3 Poland. And I know most people look at that and go, that must have been boring basketball. And I've said it with Scotty before. I don't care what the score is if it's clean basketball. If it's defense playing good defense, so be it. If it's offense playing really good offense and they're high scoring, so be it. I felt like watching that first quarter from the, casual observer, you might say, well, these two teams are really struggling on offense and they can't do much. But it wasn't sloppy offense. You didn't see a lot of unforced turnovers where balls were just thrown out of nowhere or thrown out of bounds or just traveling and stuff like that. It was defensively forced turnovers, defensive pressure, forcing low percentage shots. It was that kind of game, especially in the first half. Just really high intensity defense, forcing the offense to, you know, go out and make spectacular plays. And, Coach Blanche was talking about it after the game as well. Um, it goes a little bit deeper than just unforced errors. He said that he wished, his team in the first half had a little bit more basketball IQ to realize that South Range was really packing it inside and not forcing the ball inside. It was one of those things like that's okay from this level of basketball, that it's one of those basketball IQ mistakes and not just, hey, I'm gonna go and try to do too much and throw the ball away, or I'm going to get the ball picked for me, or I'm going to make a silly pass across the court. It wasn't things like that. It was just like, okay, we have Katie McDonald inside. We have this mentality that we want to feed it to her, but South Range, their game plan was to stop the ball from going inside. And in the first half, it felt like Poland was just a little bit in love with trying to feed the ball consistently inside instead of just take what the defense gave them. And they made that adjustment in the second half. They came out and started the second half on a 10-0 run, went up 25-12. South Range, though, props to them for coming back from that, because against this defense and the way that offense was going to that point, to come back from being down 13 and make this a 3-point game going into the fourth quarter, very impressive. It showed a lot of heart. They got some contributions off the bench from Gwen Lowry. She scored 7, so she's starting to come into the fold. But these in both games with Poland playing South Range, it's been these stretches of 5 to 8 minutes for the Raiders where they can't score and they can't find any positivity on offense, and Poland takes advantage of it every time. And it was the start of the fourth quarter again. South Range works really hard, cuts it to a 3-point game, 27-24, and Poland starts the fourth quarter hot. They keep South Range off the scoreboard for a while, and they just got enough cushion that the Raiders couldn't make a comeback. Um, that's how the game went in the first time too. It was a close first quarter. Poland won the second quarter 13-0, and the Raiders just couldn't come back from that. They cut it back down to 7, but eventually Poland made another run and made it a 21-point game the first time around. So against Poland with South Range, it's these little defensive, offensive droughts in bad times that kind of that do them in. But they closed the gap a lot. First time they played Poland, it was a 21-point game. This time they lost by 10. Final score was 41-31. So I think much better signs of progress for South Range when you're looking on their end of the spectrum. Emma Cunningham and Taylor McClick were both in double figures. They were the only players in double figures in the night because Poland didn't have anybody in double figures. So South Range has 2 players that score more than anybody on Poland's team. Gwen Lowry, like I said, came off the bench and scored 7 for them. If they can get her to score consistently and then get Sydney Pinnock back on track a little bit, and then keep Emma Cunningham and Taylor McClish where they're going, that gives you 4 significant offensive threats heading into the tournament, which I think is what you need. You need, 3 or 4 in tournament play to make a deep run. And we're going to see, how South Range can do the last couple weeks of the season. Obviously, they still have matchups with Girard and Struthers. They're going to try to get big wins over one of those teams to get some momentum. Still have a non-conference game with Brookfield. I think that's actually to close out the season. So South Range still has a lot of tests to get them ready for that Division III tournament. And they're usually ready for that tournament because they're usually playing a schedule that doesn't compare to most teams in the bracket. So we'll see what South Range has in store. On Poland's side, Ariana Daniels was the player of the game. She scored the first 4 points for the Bulldogs and then it finished with 9. Hit some free throws down the stretch, but what really made me impressed with her this game and made me give her player of the game was just the tone she set. Like, she set the tone in the beginning of the game, went and scored 4 points. I felt like she set the tone with rebounding effort towards the end of the first half because really for the first 2 quarters, I would be surprised if South Range didn't win the rebound battle on the stat sheet by at least to like 7 or 8 rebounds. I mean, South Range was rebounding really well in the first half, and that's not what Coach Blanche wanted. I mean, I think he thinks that his team can have a rebounding edge over the Raiders. So in the second half, they came out, they rebounded really well, and she was one of the ones that would get in there and get rebounds against bigger girls. I mean, everyone on the floor is probably bigger than Ariana Daniels last night, except maybe Devin Sauerwein. But it didn't matter. She went in, she got rebounds against bigger girls, and that kind of set the tone for Poland's bigger, stronger rebounders to say, hey, if I'm going to go in there as the smallest girl on your team and get rebounds, there's no reason you can't. And it kind of sparked Poland's rebounding effort. I don't know who won the rebounding battle. I don't have those stats in front of me. But I think I would be surprised if Poland didn't close that gap. Maybe South Range still won the rebounding battle, but it wasn't nearly by as much as they won it in the first half. So a very interesting game. These two teams could very well play each other in the tournament. They're both in Division 3 now this year. South Range is going to be one of those probably middle of the pack seeds with a 7-7 record right now, right on the 500. And I think a lot of coaches respect the schedule, so they might, be one of those 8 to 13 seeds, which can be interesting when you think about like what bracket you want to go into. The choices by then won't be a lot. You won't have a huge great option, but I expect Poland to be one of the top seeds, and I expect South Range to be one of the middle seeds. So we'll see how it shakes out. But these two teams could very well play each other in the district tournament. I think it'll actually depend. Well, actually, it won't because Coach Fitch will have to make a decision before then. I was going to say it should depend on how South Range plays against Brookfield. But of course, Coach Fitch will have to make that decision on what bracket he wants to go into by Sunday. I mean, we're going to have the brackets on Sunday. We're going to have the seeds on Saturday. So, that decision, he's going to have to make it blind based on what he knows about Brookfield. He's played them the last 2 years in the regular season. Brookfield's going to be one of the top seeds. I think Garfield is also going to be one of the top seeds, and then you have to put Crestview in there too. All three of those teams plus Liberty and the MVAC going to be probably top 6 along with Poland, I would imagine, and a lot of talent in this area. I mean, a lot of talent in the region. You look at the region of Northeast Ohio in girls basketball Division 3. Top teams in the state are all kind of locked into the Cuyahoga Falls Regional, with obviously Laurel, who is set the world on fire this year with the third hardest schedule in the state across any division. Last check, they only had 3 losses with that schedule. And then you look at Waynedale, who's been in Cuyahoga Falls the last 3 years, and they've won it before. Warrensville Heights is back strong. So you have a lot of the top teams in the state in Division 3 in that Cuyahoga Falls region by itself. So whoever wins a district out of this Northeast 1 and 2, and there's going to be tough sledding just to get into that region. And but good news for both those teams that win, I should say. Looks like these district brackets are gearing up to be very competitive, and they should be battle tested before they get to that regional in Cuyahoga Falls. We will go into more scores as Boardman traveled to Uniontown Lake and got beat 57-35. Lake is a very good basketball team, and I think this is one of the ones where, like I said before, if Boardman handles this right and doesn't get their head down from a big loss, and they can really benefit from getting exposed to that level of play. Obviously, they're going to be in Division 1 for the tournament, so they have to be ready for really strong basketball. And it may be exposed some things that they need to work on, which is all you want to do in these non-conference battles. It does nothing for Boardman negatively. As far as the conference goals are still there, and the tournament goals are still there. So really, if you just handle it that way and don't get into the confidence lull that a double-digit loss can bring you, this should be beneficial for Boardman going forward. You hate to say that after a loss; it kind of sounds like a moral victory, but in the same sense, it's just like it's a teaching tool. It's a sharpening tool. And Boardman's a very good basketball team. They're going to learn from it. 46-33. Lisbon gets the win over Valley Christian, a big win for the Blue Devils in the EOAC. St. Thomas Aquinas beats Cheney 47-32. East Palestine beats Latonia 60-23. That East Palestine team starting to rack up the wins. I'm noticing every time we're posting final scores, EP gets a win, EP gets a win, EP gets a win. They're starting to really put things together for the Bulldogs program. Columbiana gets a win in the EOAC 46-21 over Wellsville. LeBray beats Kiama Memorial 53-22 last night. Liberty bounces back and beats Newton Falls 53-28, the final score there. Louisville has a Monday game against Strongsville, and it's another tough battle out of their tough schedule, and they get the win 53-46 over Strongsville. And those are your final scores for the night. So, without further ado, now that we've recapped the night, we want to get to the interviews that we have locked, stocked, and barreled for you. Today, we're going to start with a coach's corner, our first coach's corner from Akron Hoban. It is going to be Pamela Davis, the head coach of the Archbishop Hoban Knights girls basketball team, currently sitting with a 10-7 record and gearing up for Akron Ellet on Thursday. That'll be senior night. So, here is a conversation with Pamela Davis, the head coach of the Hoban Knights. Anthony Hartwig here with a Hoban girls basketball coaches corner with Pamela Davis, our first ever Hoban coaches corner. We are so happy that they are in the part of the Ysn family. That's what I want to say. First of all, Coach, welcome to the family. We're glad to have you here on the Ysn family of schools.
Thanks, Anthony. I'm really glad to be a part of the Ysn family as well. As I had mentioned backstage, we had talked about it, a couple years ago, hoping that would come to fruition, and it certainly has now.
All right, so we've already been exposed to a couple of games that you guys have played since you've joined the family. But first, what I want to do with all of our coaches that we do preseason, but we're going to do it with you now since it's our first episode, I want to give you a chance to introduce us to your roster and go down, your players and let us know who they are and what they bring to the program and just give you a chance to shine a light on your roster and let us meet the team a little bit.
Sure, would love to. We're currently 10-7. This is my fourth year here at Archbishop Hoban. We have 3 seniors that start. My point guard, Kennedy Arison, who has committed to Westminster College in Pennsylvania. Senior guard, Emma Rasmussen, who has committed to play at Marietta. And our 5'10" forward, Riley Bennett, who is uncommitted at this point. The other 2 starters on our team are junior Mackenzie Edinburgh and freshman Mackenzie Grant. I have 4 very key, vital people that come off the bench to help support. That first person is sophomore Finley Kennedy, junior Maya Pooler, freshman Niera Stevens, and freshman Zoe Hodge.
All those players, and like you said, you have some that are committed, some that aren't committed. I'm sure a lot of them have aspirations to go play at the next level. That's something that is, you recognize about Hoban really quick, is they are really good at getting athletes to the next level. What do you think it is about the athletic program, about your program specifically, that just prepare these players to go and be the best they can be at the next level?
I think it's twofold. I think one, obviously, is the academic piece. Hoban really prepares the student athletes with a rigorous curriculum. And then I think between just the intensity of practices and instruction and the weight and conditioning program, I think gets them the physical part of being able to play at the next level.
A lot of the players have gone since the last time that we talked, back when you guys came down the South Range a couple of years ago. That team was, phenomenal. Had their own players that have left the program and have gone on to do great things. But Emma Rasmussen is one player that we remember very well from those games. How much has she grown in the last couple of years as a player? And what do you see from her now, her senior year, leading this team?
I believe that Emma was player of the game during that game, or during the tournament at South Range. She's since gone from more of a role player to a leading lady. She has earned 2 other game MVPs, one at the Classic in the Country versus Lakota West, and then also an MVP game versus St. Joseph Academy at the Jingle Bell Jam in Sandusky. So she's averaging 12 points a game for us, and she is our now leading scorer.
Another hallmark of Hoban is you guys get to play an independent schedule. You get to go out and play all these great teams and really beef up this schedule that you guys put together. What does that bring to this team? The ability to go to Classic in the Country, the ability to go to the Battle of the Hawks Nest over the weekend and play teams from not just the state of Ohio, but Kentucky, and I'm sure you've played teams from around the whole country at times. So, what's that mean to this program and these players to be able to really expose themselves to the best competition they can?
We really do have one of the most rigorous schedules in D1. I was just preparing for our tournament draw that's going to be held on Sunday. And even though we've lost 7 games, the total opponent win-loss records is 90 and 22 for an 80% winning percentage. So we are battle tested. We're gaining confidence as we head into the latter part of the season, and we are definitely gearing up for the postseason.
Let's talk about your last time out. You were able to beat Notre Dame Academy from Kentucky over the weekend by 9. What do you see from your team? What were some of the keys to that victory?
Definitely our transition and defensive pressure. They were a very tall team. They started 2 5'11" guards, one that's going to Northern Kentucky, and a 6'4" center. So we had to use our speed, agility, and quickness to attack the basket and to get them to run. And it certainly was effective for us.
And now you have a game on slate on Thursday, I believe, against Ellet at home. What's that going to look like? What does Ellet bring to the table? Help us preview this game coming up for you guys.
Well, this is going to be our senior night. So I know that my 3 seniors definitely will want to go out on top. Ellet is in first place of the Akron City Series by a couple game margin. So I anticipate that they'll be the same as they go against Firestone tonight. They bring a very dynamic guard and sophomore Caitlin Holmes and a nice supporting cast that's going to press, get up and down in transition like we like to do. And it's kind of like a backyard initial stages of a rivalry because they're in East Akron, as so is Hoban.
You know, when you guys do get to play at home, I know you travel so much. You know, you're in Columbus, you're in the Class in the Country. What's it like to come back home and be able to protect your home court and to be able to play in front of, I'm assuming, more fans than you do when you travel the way that you guys do?
We certainly travel. I consider us kind of like a road warrior. We've gone to Toledo. We've gone to Columbus 3 times. We've gone down to Berlin. We've gone up to Cleveland several times. So it's kind of nice to come home where our kids can get in a nice routine. And with it being senior night, I'm hoping that our student body comes out and supports the trio and have some local fans as well due to the proximity in both schools.
Obviously, traveling can be tiresome, but I'm sure it also gives you great opportunity to build team bonding. Do you see a lot of team chemistry come from the trips that you guys take?
We have, and plus we've done some other service projects such as making blankets, going to actually at this preseason, we went to a haunted house. We've gone to some local university games to try to build that team chemistry. So I think it's fairly safe to say that the kids are growing close together.
You have roots here in the Youngstown area. Correct me if I'm an Austintown Fitch graduate. And what's it mean to you? What kind of things have you taken from the Youngstown area up into Archbishop Hoban? And what kind of things do you see in the Akron area that remind you of home a little bit?
Well, I am a proud alumni of the Fitch Falcons. And, you know, we've always had a history of great sports in the Mahoning Valley. And I want to bring to Akron a sense of pride and community and be able to compete. That's the biggest word is compete every single game, whether we think we're going to win or it's an evenly matched opponent. And I'm hoping that, you know, over the course of all of my years in coaching that I have brought that to my girls.
Like you said, you have a really long career in coaching. Your 4th year at Hoban. All the stepping stones you've taken and all the spots you've been at, what do you think you've grown the most in as a coach over the years and over your career? 600 wins, you know, it's a lot to rack up. So where do you think you've grown the most as a coach?
I really think that I've involved in the X's and O's and the strategy of the game. When I started, filming was basically non-existent in the girls' side. There was not the showcases and tournaments and the AAU circuit that there is available now. So if you don't evolve as a coach, particularly on the court, then you'll kind of be passed by. So I think that I've evolved with the times, and you have to really coach to, the level and talent of your teams. And fortunately, I've had a lot of great players over the years. And so I just want them to be able to compete and to be able to use these strategies, not only athletically, but in life in general.
And you can talk about this a little bit more than maybe the younger coaches, but I mean, you've seen the growth of women's basketball over the last, decade or so. What does that mean to you, not just as a coach, but as a fan? I'm sure you watch the college game and as a fan of women's basketball, what does that mean to you to see how much it's grown over the last decade?
I think that all of the hours, the blood, sweat, and tears that females have put into the sport, they're finally getting the recognition that they deserve. We're getting primetime spots, particularly in the college networks. I'm hoping at some point in time that girls' high school also will get some primetime coverage. I know there are several conferences that have done boy-girl double headers. I've been a part of those at previous schools. And they just really deserve all the recognition and just so many opportunities. I just want my players as well as all athletes to take advantage.
You talked earlier about the service projects you do, and the thing we see out of Hoban and some of the other schools that we cover is building character is, of the utmost importance at Hoban. They want to build great people that leave the school. What do you think those service projects and building your community up do for your team, not just with what they can do with themselves and their own relationships with each other, but also their relationships with the community?
I think first and foremost, it's giving back. A lot of student athletes are given a lot of these opportunities, and to provide different opportunities for those who are less fortunate. I think shows gratitude for the things that we do have. The service project that we did, we're making blankets for the ill children at the Ronald McDonald House. And I think that just athletes in general were one of the healthiest individuals out there. So again, just showing gratitude and appreciation for everything that we have.
We are coming up on tournament time very, very soon. I think the the bracket should be out next Monday for districts. What do you think when you're thinking tournament time and you're trying to balance staying focused for the rest of the regular season, but you're also voting on the brackets and you're voting on seeding? What's that like from a coach's perspective to try to keep it one game at a time while you have to handle all that stuff as well?
Well, we just had to submit our records for the tournament draw. When I vote, I do a lot of homework. I look at strength of schedule. I look at game-to-game matchups, common opponents. So I put forth a lot of, effort into what I feel is, the correct seeds. I try to keep a very low profile, low key for my kids. Yes, we have to do a balancing act, but I want to make sure that we go out with in the regular season on a high note. So when we approach pro season or postseason, I'm sorry, we're on a high note, and we're also feeling the confidence of building and leading up to that.
With no conference, what are some of the regular season goals you use to kind of keep them focused on the regular season and not have them look ahead to tournaments all the time?
Unfortunately, we don't have a conference, but we just take one game at a time. We take a look at what conference that person or that team is in, and say, if we had to play them head to head, would we win that conference? And we just take every opponent as is, face value, and we just feel that these are mini quizzes, mini tests to get to that, final exam, if you will, those last 8.
All right, Coach, before we let you go, I want to give you the chance to also introduce us to your staff and the wonderful people you have behind you. We know that coaches get the interviews, the limelight, but we know that you couldn't do it by yourself. So who's with you on this ride and who brings their help to the program?
Well, I've been blessed with coaching with my husband for the past 30 years. And he's my right-hand man, both in life and on the court, and that's Willie Davis. He's in charge of our defensive schemes and some of our conditioning programs. And then Dave Nash, who has been with me for about 7-8 years now. He primarily works with our forwards and our post play. And then first year person on the JV ranks is Danielle Howe. She's coached CYO, and she's also an employee of Hoban.
Coach, great to catch up with you. Once again, welcome to the YSN family. Thank you for the time to come on and have your first episode of Coach's Corner. We look forward to more and more, and we wish you the best of luck the rest of the regular season and hope to see you make a deep tournament run as well.
Thank you, Anthony. I really appreciate it.
That was episode 1 of Coach's Corner with Pamela Davis, our first Akron-Hoban Coach's Corner, but definitely not our last. We're going to have good coverage of them all week because DJ and Richie are going to be down there tonight as Akron-Hoban takes on Walsh Jesuit, an old school rivalry, and Walsh is definitely this is a matchup, I should say, of two of the best teams in the state. We saw Walsh once already on YSN. They weren't able to, I should say, Fitch was able to beat them in overtime earlier this year. Archbishop Hoban is a 12-2 team on the boys' side, and they'll take on Walsh Jesuit tonight on YSN. And then I'll be down there on Thursday for Hoban against Ellett on the girls' side. It'll be senior night, so we're excited to have Hoban covered this week on Tuesday and Thursday, and it's going to be a fun week of introducing ourselves to the Knights in that gym and more introductions to that community. So we're going to have some fun with the Knights throughout the rest of the basketball season and then going into their baseball and softball years as well. We also have an interview with South Range senior Emma Cunningham. We're going to get to that after this break. We'll be right back on YSN's Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Locally owned and operated, Sheely's relaxed shopping experience means browsing and lounging is always encouraged.
Find Flex Deal and more at Sheely's Furniture and Appliance, because the best things in life happen at home.
How lucky are we to have not one, but two 18-hole Donald Ross Championship golf courses right here in our backyards. Mill Creek Golf Course was selected by Golf Week as one of America's 30 best municipal courses, continuing to challenge golfers of all levels and featuring golf instruction by PGA professionals, a state-of-the-art practice range, a PGA of America recognized pro shop, kids programs, and a relaxing grill room for a memorable golf experience. For more information or to schedule a tee time, visit millcreekmetroparks.org.
Fall is in the air. The kids are back to school, crowds are cheering for the home team, and Myers Family Insurance is prepped for another crazy Medicare season. Every year there's changes, some big, some small, so it's important to have a conversation to make sure your plan is going to meet your expectations for the coming year. Give our team a call today to schedule your annual review.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance or visit us on the web. Check us out online at myersfamilyins.com.
Going from mindful to mindful sometimes requires a helping, healing hand. Insight Clinical Counseling and Wellness offers a continuum of mental health and wellness care. At Insight, we're changing the way you receive counseling and wellness services with experienced licensed clinicians and expertly trained wellness staff. With 4 locations in Mahoning and Columbiana County, along with telehealth services, Insight offers clients quick access to care when they need it. Transform your mental health and wellness at Insight Clinical Counseling and Wellness.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you as always again by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig with you. We just heard from Pamela Davis, the head coach of the Archbishop Hoban Knights on the girls' side, and now we are going to play an interview with South Range girls basketball senior Emma Cunningham. She led the Raiders with 12 points last night in their loss to Poland. I had a great conversation with her about her season, her career, her family, how much her brothers have helped her get better as a basketball player. We covered Mike Cunningham for a long time at South Range, and now we get the chance to hear from Emma Cunningham, a senior this year for the Raiders. Here's an interview with her. I hope you enjoy. Anthony Hartwig here with a South Range girls basketball player profile. I'm joined by senior Emma Cunningham. Emma, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, senior year. It just feels like it's been in a heartbeat.
Mhm.
What has it been like for you to kind of realize that this is your last go around and deal with all the emotions that senior year can bring?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely gone by quicker than I expected. It's heartbreaking to knowing that's my last year playing with these teammates, but I'm also excited for what's to come, and I'm excited to see how the team grows even when I leave.
Has senior year brought a little bit more like urgency to your game? Like, this is the last year to do something?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely I want to prove myself as much as I can because this is like the last chance I'm going to get playing with these girls and on this team. So I've definitely been trying to go into every game and play as hard as I can.
We've talked about it in your post-game interviews before, a little bit of a slow start to this season, but you guys have really kind of figured each other out and you've gotten closer as a team. From your perspective, what's that experience been like going through a season and growing with this team and getting a little bit more comfortable with each other on the floor?
Yeah, I think as soon as you click outside of the court, everything on the court kind of falls into place. We had a rough beginning. Some things were going on, but we figured it out. We came together, and we played as a team. And once you figure it out off the court, everything just it just fell into place for us.
What were some of the things that this team did to get back together, like to get that whatever was going on figured out and to get back to the one unified team that we see on the court today?
Yeah, I think we just kind of realized that we're a team. It's not just any one individual. We can't win games as individuals. So I think the rough start that we had to the season really showed us what we need to do to win games and how we need to figure it out to come together.
Not only have you guys come together, but it seems like you guys have gotten a lot more confident too. What have been some of the keys to that? Getting confident after that slow start and staying with the process and being confident in your ability to score.
Yeah, I think we were all kind of shaky going into the season. But even in practice, just pick each other up when you're down. You always have another chance. And we always make sure that our teammates know there's always another play to make. There's always another point to score. So not letting one component of the game get us down really helped us. And, that was something in practice that we worked on, and it showed in the game at the end of the season too.
You've been working at basketball for a long time. You've been not just playing for South Range, playing in AAU, trying to work your craft continually. How much do you think you've grown since freshman season Emma to now senior season Emma?
Oh my gosh, so much. I think with time comes experience. So the last 4 years have just been an absolute blast for me. Not only to grow as a basketball player, but to grow as an individual. And I think all the people who has come in and out of South Range has really helped me with that as well.
Obviously, a lot of changes. What do you think of the biggest change in your game has been over the last 4 years?
I think I finally got confident in myself and I started taking the ball to the hoop. I think that was the one thing that I never did freshman and even in the beginning of sophomore year. I was kind of afraid to drive, get in the mess, get in the paint. But I think I figured it out, and AAU was definitely a big part of that. But that's how I get like 50% of my points. So I think that's what really changed for me.
Was there a moment or a game, maybe it was an AAU game, maybe an AAU weekend, or maybe it was in high school season, that you think it like clicked that you can do that and that's part of your game and you got confident in your ability to do that?
Yeah, so actually, I before like even freshman sophomore year, I never had to be a big, so I was really never in the paint at all. And then, I joined this AAU team, and they're like, "All right, get under the hoop, get rebounds." I was like, "Ooh, it's a whole new ball game under there." So I think that definitely helped me as well because I never really had an experience down there.
You're getting rebounds and you're getting blocks. Every game I'm at, you're getting 4 or 5 blocks per. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I imagine you're leading the NE8 in block shots. What do you take from that? I mean, how have you learned how to be a rim protector down there, down low in the paint?
I really don't know how it happened. I think I finally figured out how to use. I have such lengthy arms, lengthy limbs. I think I finally grew into them, learned how to use them a little bit. Once something clicks, it stays with you forever. So once I figured out like I could do that, it kind of just stuck with me from then on.
Once you figured out, okay, I can block shots, how much work did you put into like fine tuning the technique and making sure that you're doing everything the right way?
Yeah, so that was definitely one of my major like defensive points to work on was if you can stop a layup, stop a layup. I was trying to like get layups low, take the ball away from them before they even go up. But once I figured out how to just get it out of there altogether, I really worked on that, and that's what I stuck with for the rest of my career.
All right, what's the better feeling than swatting somebody out of the gym into the cafeteria, which you did the last home game, right into the cafeteria, or a big three?
Yeah. Oh boy.
Because you've done both.
I definitely think getting a block is like the number one feeling basketball that you can do. It's like uplifting. I hate to say it because I feel like that sounds bad, but it is.
How much energy do you get after the block from your teammates? Like that's got to fire everybody else up too.
Yeah, and I think it really it brings a lot of energy to the game. Something big like that happening really it gets the bench involved, it gets the players around you involved, and it gets like a good feeling to everybody around. It's really an energy change.
All right, obviously, people that have followed us in South Rain for a while know that last name pretty well. I want to talk about your family a little bit and the heritage that you've had as a basketball player with the people that have come before you. How much has that helped you, and how much have you grown with your family and taken advice from your family as well?
Mm-hmm. My brothers, my dad, they're the whole entire reason I even picked up a basketball in the first place. And obviously, my oldest brother, Joey, was not only, an starter his whole entire life, but then he went on to coach. He coached Mooney, coached South Rain for a little bit. And he's coached me. He's been my biggest supporter, my biggest coach throughout anything. He's taught me everything that I need to know. And then Mikey, another player, he came through South Rain his sophomore year and played basketball. And I've definitely grown up playing with him. So he's also taught me everything I know. He's got me aggressive, got me going to the hoop more. They were my best coaches throughout my entire career.
All right, looking back at Mike's game, what do you think is the one thing that you kind of emulate of him that you think that you do, just as well as he did or do like he did back when he played at South Rain?
He's always preached defense to me. So I think, my defensive skills, reading the player, reading where the ball's at, I think that's definitely what I picked up from him. And I personally think that was his best trait as a player too. He was always best on defense, always give 110%. So that's also what I try to do. So I think that's the main thing that I took from him.
Obviously, you look up to your brothers, but there's got to be a little bit of sibling rivalry too, right? There's got to be a little bit knocking heads, getting competitive. How did you guys get competitive? What do you guys get the most fired up about?
So, we're all competitive. We always play one-on-one, no matter where we are. If there's basketball, it's going to be one-on-one. And, it's more of a physical game. We both want to win. And he can't have his little sister beating him. So that's really where his competitiveness shines through. It's the urge to win. We need to win. You can't walk out of there with a loss.
What part of the games do you have an edge on? Like, what did you try to use when you're playing them one-on-one to say, like, I got you on this?
Right. So obviously the height difference is there. So I really got to lock down on defense. And I think guarding him, I take him out of the paint, push him out of there, get him on the 3-point line, and try to just get my hands in there and pick the ball out of him as quick as I can.
Obviously, with the strength, the speed is better than anyone you see on the floor that you're going up against. How much does that really, we're having fun, we're joking around with it, but how much does that really help you in your game to have someone like that to go up against one-on-one all the time?
Oh my gosh, yeah, that has impacted me. I know it's all for fun, but that has been one of the biggest impacts that I've had. You'll never see a player that tall or that have that much strength, like you said, in a girls' basketball game. So, the ability to move without the ball and really get physical into the girl you're guarding has definitely helped me so much.
All right, we're talking about athletes and athleticism so much, but you are a student athlete too at South Rain, so we have to talk about your schooling as well. What have been some of your favorite subjects and some of the things that you've really liked learning at South Rain?
So I think this is kind of weird, but I think my favorite subject was biology. I had a thing for it and it kind of clicked with me, so I really liked it. And then chem was another one of my the subjects that I really liked a lot. And then I started getting into CCP classes, so I'm taking a few classes from YSU, and that has really shown me what college is going to be like and how academics have changed and a higher level of schooling. So that was also really cool to do at South Range.
What's it like taking college classes while you're taking high school classes and you're not in college yet, but you're getting exposed to what college is going to be like next year?
It's honestly, I think it's the best opportunity that I've got out of South Range. I'm in person, I'm in these classes, and it's like it's basically it's a head start. You know, I'm getting credit, I'm getting experience for these college classes, and it's also pretty cool. You know, the first day when you go around trying to introduce yourself and you say, "Oh, I'm a senior in high school," and everybody kind of looks at you like, what are you doing here?" It's pretty cool. It's really cool, and it's a great opportunity to get a head start into college classes.
So how much are you still at South Range compared to on campus taking college classes?
So this year, the first semester of school, I was at YSU basically like every day a week for every day a week more than I was at South Range. But this semester, I'm taking like I think 3 or 4 classes at South Range, but it's just like painting and cooking, and I'm a student mentor. But then I'm also taking like 2 online classes at YSU, and I think I like this better because I'm enjoying my senior year more.
Right.
Mhm.
That was going to lead to my next question. You know, obviously it's a great benefit, but it's got to be hard to stay connected with your friends and stay social when you're not at the school. So what was that like your first semester in the first half of basketball season, not being connected with your teammates outside of the gym and trying to balance that with, you know, still trying to enjoy your senior year?
Mhm. Yeah, that was one of the main reasons that I switched my schedule like I did this semester, because in the first semester I barely saw anybody from South Range aside from going to basketball practice, like you said. So it was really tough. I wouldn't do that again just because I felt like I was missing out on some of the things I could have been doing as a senior in school. But yeah, it definitely had a change for me second semester, now that I get to see everybody and be with everybody again and really get more chemistry with them.
We've seen a lot of success out of South Range Athletics, especially in the last 7 years. I mean, you look at the state championship appearances since 2015 from South Range Sports. It's incredible. It's raised the bar for everybody. Do you feel that as an athlete that you see other teams succeed and you feel like you want to go out there and be the next team that does something like that?
Oh yeah, 100%. You see our football program state championship, and just like the last few years, we've gone so far in basketball, football, however you want to say it. But yeah, it's definitely like it's almost like a competitive thing. Like you see all these other players and all these other teams completing so many different goals, and it's like you want to be right next to them. You want to go out and do it too.
Tournament time is like right around the corner. I mean, how much has the thought process been for this team that at the end of the day, the regular season, at the end of the season doesn't really matter if you go and make a run in the tournament. Everybody starts 0 for 0. So how much are you using these last couple of weeks is just that mindset of let's get ourselves the best we can before those brackets start?
Yeah, the end of the season, like I always think January and like the beginning of January is like tournament month. Like we have to start practicing at like how we're gonna play in the tournaments, and every game that we have from that point on is like this is how we're gonna do in the tournament. You only have one chance in the tournament, so we need to kind of perfect everything and get everything organized.
You haven't had senior night yet, but I'm gonna ask when you do what you expect out of that night and what you expect your emotions will be like when you kind of get that reality, that sense of reality that it is your last year right in your face.
Yeah, I think the emotions are going to be high. I'm one of 2 seniors on the team, so me and Tatum Klish. I think it's going to be a very emotional night for us both because she's played 3 years and I played 4 years, and we've just been together the entire time. So I think realizing that this is our last game that we're going to be playing together is going to hit us pretty hard.
So when you look at it and you look at yourself off the court, I want to get to know you a little bit off the court too. We're going to hit you with some rapid fire questions. First one is favorite dessert. What you got?
My favorite dessert is probably Handel's ice cream. It's pretty common, but chocolate cake batter ice cream from Handel's is definitely my favorite dessert.
So not just chocolate, but it's got to be that cake batter. You add a little sweeten to it, right?
Yep.
What do you think now that we go from dessert? What's your favorite like healthy food? Like the one that you have to eat when you're like, okay, I've eaten too much ice cream. I better get healthy a little bit.
Yeah. I have such a bad sweet tooth, so I probably should squeeze in some healthy things every now and again. My favorite healthy food is probably any type. I love fruit. I'm a big fruit person, so like apples, bananas, grapes, any type of fruit I'll love to eat easily.
While we're on the food subject, snack bags are a big part of road games in high school sports. What teammate's parent gives you the best snack bag on the team?
Oh, that's a tough question. I don't know. You know what? she's not a parent to anybody on the team, but Mrs. Freedy has been our bus driver for a little bit, and she always has a snack ready to go, and it's definitely my favorite thing to look forward to on those bus rides.
I know Mrs. Freedy. She does way above and beyond any parent would go to for you guys.
Yeah.
What's one thing that would go in that snack bag that you would say this is a grade A snack bag because this particular thing is in it?
I love any type of candy. Like when there's suckers in those in like snack bags, it's game over. I love candy. My sweet
you guys get to rock to a nice playlist before the games. I'm wondering what your personal playlist kind of looks like.
Well, I love like 2010, 2000 music. Like that pop music in 2010 is like my all-time fave. I have a whole playlist I listen to every single day of it.
Do you have any guilty pleasure songs that you kind of hide from your friends that you still rock to?
I gotta think. I think Riding Solo by Jason Derulo is probably my favorite song ever, and I don't want people to know that, so that's probably it.
Well, you just outed yourself a little bit. It's okay. Are you more of an organized person, or are you more of kind of like go on the fly with stuff?
You know what? It depends on the day. I'm like 50-50. Honestly, sometimes have everything all in order, and other days I'm like I don't know where anything is. So I split it right down the middle.
Do you think that number's grown since you started taking college classes? Has that made you have to be a little bit more organized?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's definitely more of a responsibility, and you don't have teachers reaching out to you and saying, turn this in on this date, this date, this date. It's pretty much like you have to do it. You have to remember everything for yourself. So that's definitely how to make me more organized.
All right, before I let you go, I want you to talk about your future real quick, what your plans are after South Range and what you have going on after that.
So right now, I'm pretty sure I'm going to go to YSU to major in either information technology or computer science. And I'll probably, further on want to specialize in cybersecurity. Computer programming and everything like that has been something that like my dad does, my brother does, my sister does. They've all have majors in it and whatnot. And I've grown to really like it. And I think what I want to do with my future too.
All right, Emma, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. It was great to hear from you. Great to get to know you a little bit off the floor as well. We wish you the best of luck the rest of the season, and we look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Thank you so much.
That was Emma Cunningham, senior from South Range, a great senior. We're also going to have the ability to hear from their other senior, Taylor McClish, a little bit later on this week, so stay tuned for that one if you're a Raider fan. I'm Anthony Hartwig, and this is Running Point, of course. Before we get out of here, we are going to preview the night on the network real quick and get you ready for what the basketball games are that you can watch on YSN tonight. We'll start at 6:30. Wellsville will travel to Columbiana. Joe Eusebio will be on the call there. Wellsville at Columbiana, 6:30. Then all these games are going to be at 7 o'clock tips now. All right, so Carrollton at Beaver Local. We have Chris Sigler on the call. Champion at Crestview, it'll be Larry Scragg having you covered. Garrettsville Garfield, they travel to Camel. Noah Doty going to be going to Soup City for that one. Hawken will be at Orange, and the school has you covered that time. School also covering at Poland as Hubbard comes to town. Lisbon will be at Valley Christian. Rick Daly has you covered there. Lordstown will be at Ashtabula St. John. Sam Torres has you covered with that Ashtabula game at 7 o'clock. Wellsville at Western Reserve at 7. I will be at that one. We have Marlington at Louisville. Bob Burdick on the call there. Ty Bartell going to Waterloo as McDonald comes to town. We have Niles going to Struthers. That'll be a school broadcast. Salem at Mooney. Eric Hughes has you covered there. South Range travels to Girard. Matt Maher will be on the call. Springfield at Middle Ridge. Jamie Thompson making the trip to Middle Ridge for that one. Walsh Jesuit will be at Archbishop Hoban. DJ Oakley and Richie Giuliano making the trip there for Archbishop Hoban's debut as a YSN school. They've been on YSN before, but this is the first time that Hoban will be on YSN under the banner. So excited to be down there for that one. DJ Oakley, Richie Giuliano have you covered. East will go to Howland, and that'll be Noah Ricks on the call there. And then the Academy of Urban Scholars will be at Heartland Christian, and that'll be Gio Santiglia at the call there, 7 o'clock. Other games going on, Brookfield will travel to Liberty at 6. Newton Falls goes to LeBray at 7. Lakeview at Jefferson. East Palestine at Latonia. Jackson Milton goes to Sebring. And Southern will go to United. We do have one girls game on the network tonight. Lordstown and St. John will be playing in a boys-girls doubleheader. Sam Torres will be on the call for both of them. Girls start at 5:30. Boys go after. So that'll be a fun night in Ashtabula St. John. All right, that'll do it for today's show. Head over to ysnlive.com/live to check out all those games we just mentioned, completely free. And on tomorrow's show, it'll be Wrestling Wednesdays with Gary Altizer, and we will have Mason Sims as our special guest from Wellsville. He had a big weekend at the OVAC, so we're going to talk to him about that, give Wellsville Wrestling some love, and we'll be back tomorrow from 1 to 2 with that and more. Until then, this was Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet.